You can still fuck around at.
No, I want to hear you fucking around.
No, I mean,
Everybody.
I was gonna like.
Fuck around on command.
I mean, like,
It's fucking aroundy.
Normally we'll chat for like 15 minutes, half an hour. So I was just gonna go like stand outside for a bit, you know.
Oh, that
Cigarette.
Cigarette.
Go fall asleep in your car.
Ben Affleck outside.
Cameron, that's such old news, dude.
Yes, but I live in the past. Which brings me to our topic for today. Welcome, everyone, to the Self-Perfected Podcast, where we explore the dimensions of self-perfection and how you can apply it in your life so that you can live the life of your dreams. Oh, so that brings me to my first story. Welcome, everyone, to my podcast. I have some of my fans here with me. Hey, nice shirt. We got shirt twins. We got hat twins.
Hey. And then brown
hat bros. So that brings me to my first story. I was at Lowe's yesterday, as a man does, and I was filling up the back of my pickup truck.
Wait, you're at Lowe's as Amanda? Who's Amanda? Is that your alter ego?
Yes, I have transitioned. Anytime someone's
Amanda's
like,
filling up her truck.
Please, whatever, I'm sad to announce that my mother or whoever transitioned or whatever. I'm like, shouldn't you be calling them your dad? Anyways, so I was at Lowe's filling up my truck with wood and all kinds of tools and stuff. And I was buying the wood because I'm building some beds for the kids. So I've got part of one done, and I got the wood to get the other one because I know I can do it now. It's not a problem.
That's how you know you're really good. You're willing to trust your skills where your children sleep, right? Because if that thing messes up, man,
nice,
that ain't gonna be good.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, actually, the first one I forgot to glue it. I just put the screws in, and so I told Katie, I was like, "Well, I can't take the screws out because I already filled it with wood filler, and I forgot to put glue." So I was like, "Let's just give that one to Seneca because she's smaller." No, but
in 10 years, Seneca's gonna listen to this.
We
just kidding. In 1 year, Seneca's gonna listen to this and be like, "Dad."
She weighs like nothing. But anyways, no, but we tested it. It's pretty sturdy. So the glue just makes it like really solid. So I'm gonna do that one. But if I see any signs of it starting to crack or anything, I'll just take it down and make another one. Anyway, so I was getting that stuff. I'm gonna make some benches. So across our pond, we had it cleared out, as you guys probably saw some of the pictures, right? It looks really cool. And I want to put some benches over there, right? And then that little campground site that we had cleared out in the woods, I'm going to make some other benches to go around a campfire that have like kind of high backs. And they look really cool. Actually, I'll show you while I'm talking. And
so while you're on that topic though, like seeing those pictures of the campground, the trails, everything, it's like, I would make a trip to go to a place like that, here, like, dude, that place looks amazing.
That's the whole point of what we're doing. Like, we want it to be a place where you guys can come on a regular basis. So, and then I'm also, so that campsite that I showed you guys, I'm going to put a smokeless fire pit there. I'm going to build one. So the top one is the fire pit.
Smokeless fire pit?
Yeah, they're actually really awesome.
How does that work?
Can't get it to focus.
It's like the setup of it. Before the smoke can get out of the top, it's like somehow gets pulled back into it.
I don't know why it won't focus.
You have to put it in the middle, camera. In the middle.
Yeah, more there. No, to that side.
Yeah, just hold it there for a moment.
I think it's just at an angle, maybe.
Bring it closer.
Hold
it right there.
There it is. There it is. Ooh, okay. Oh, okay.
The second one is the benches I'm going to put across the pond. The third one is the benches I'm going to put around the campfire.
Oh, nice.
And then I'm going to make some side tables that are like the same style to go near the benches so you can have a drink out there, whatever.
You'll build enough benches for 30, 40 people.
Only 40 benches.
I was like thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, okay, 30 people. Those are two-seaters. So I'm going to build quite a few benches.
Yeah. Make sure you so what you got to do, there's probably about 40 people. And let's say a bench seats 2 or 3, or what would you say?
I want to say 2, but I haven't built them yet, so I don't know. Those long ones, the flat ones I showed you, are like 5 feet, so maybe I could put those out there. But just the high back ones look so cool. Maybe I'll just make a couple high back for the guest of honor.
One aspect I was thinking of is if you have to build like 20 benches, make sure you think about how big to make the fire pit so that the fire reaches everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing.
You could do like a 20-person long bench and then 2 of them, and then we look at each other, and then you make a really cool fire pit.
And then we look at each other. Oh, and then you make like a rectangular fucking long fire pit.
Yeah, it'll be like a banquet hall.
I don't have the space for that there, but I'm gonna have fire pits like all over the property.
At the end of that long fire, when the coals are just smoking, then we'll have like a fire walk. Like you gotta walk.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And we'll make an event out of it, and we'll call it Date with Destiny. And then I'll call myself Tony.
No, you call yourself Roni Tobbins.
Yeah. And we'll spell Destiny Desteni. Genius.
I'll call myself Phony Tobbins. Yeah.
So, as I was saying, I was at Lowe's getting all the stuff to make this, right? Oh, and I got some more clamps.
But that's so.
Yeah. So, but primarily, everything I'm doing is to set up the property so we can be used for all these events we want to do and everything for the business. So anyways, what was cool about it though, is I was looking at this point of like, as I'm walking out, I was thinking about posting a picture of all that wood and be like, oh, I'm dream building. And I was like, yeah, but I'm actually making the thing that I'm dreaming about. So I was like, that's like the new definition of dream building for Self-Perfected. It's like when you're actually building the shit that you're dreaming about, not just dreaming about it. Like, why is the word building? So it's like, instead of building your dream as a dream, you're actually building the thing you dreamed about, right? Wow. Which is like the whole point.
Oh my God.
So you build a business.
Everybody, you can stop the podcast now. That's a wrap. Everybody got the nugget they needed.
Right. Here's the formula. Build a business. That's not really a formula. Build your business. Build your dream. Now, I can't put it into a formula, but if you build a business, then you have the money to build the things that you're dreaming about. So it's more like a step by step.
So it becomes less like the mysticism, because I remember that I used to have like crazy dream boards and be like, well, the money will just show up, and then the money never showed up until I built a business.
Yeah, and I remember this point where Bernard said, it was in a different context, obviously, but he was talking about how you'll know. It's not about like achieving a level or something, but you'll know kind of where you're at in your process if you're more advanced in your process, because consequence will manifest faster, right? To be faced and so forth, right? But if you look at it on the kind of the flip side of like, when you're in creation mode, you'll know you're a creator and how your process within that, when the stuff that you want, you're creating it right away as soon as you decide about it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of it being like, oh, someday I'll get that car. It's like, oh man, what kind of car do I want? Oh, I like that car. Okay, let's start looking for them. Okay, I can get one here. Okay, when do you want to go get it?
And all of a sudden you have a UTV, an ATV.
Right.
Like I've just been watching you go through this process.
Katie wants a new Suburban, like the 2021 Chevy Suburban, like the black. Like there's a specific kind she wants and everything. I want it to look just like my truck because it's a Chevy. So it'll have I want it to have like the same rims, like, and all look really cool. So she can be driving around the kids and all that stuff, right? So, but then I start looking for them. It's really hard to find a black one right now, like exactly the way I want it. So we'll have to keep looking, but.
Because for some reason they're all marching down the street arguing for their rights or something like
that. Took me a minute.
Even in Jefferson?
Keep using your technique.
Especially in Jefferson. Yeah, I got to get my techniques here.
Hey, that's really fascinating. You brought that up, Cam, about the speed of manifestation, you could say. Because I still have a dream board of just like cool shit that I want to create. And then Jess and I are still actively creating it here. The next on our list of stuff we're going to get is alpacas.
Hold on. You're using the wrong word. I think you just mean a registry.
A registry, yeah, basically. True. A registry and just like
by the way,
shopping list.
We got you something really cool that on your registry something that you guys asked for, right? But also, I was thinking,
Cameron made it by hand instead of got
it from. No. I don't want to be that guy who's like, here, I'll give you the handmade thing. Like, we got you something that you'll really like. It's from your registry. It's something I would like, right? So,
okay.
But I also want to. No. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. Do you have a machete on there?
I guess I don't know. Jess added it, but I've been looking for a machete. But I need
it's way better
that
than
before
that.
October. Okay.
Nah, you guys a good one. But anyways,
okay.
But I also want to make you something. So I don't know what to make you this. So if you think about it and you're like, hey, we'd like to have a little garden bench there, or just talk to Jess. Like if it's like massive, you'll be able to move it. Yeah, but talk to her about it because I'd like to, because I'm making all this stuff anyways.
Can you build guns yet?
That would be cool, actually. I'll build you a cannon.
Dude, we have a perfect property to own a cannon. Holy shit. Because you can see in pretty much every direction. Wow. That you could be onto something with that. So I wanted to add this too. So on our shopping list, one of the next thing, this isn't even the main point.
Just to clarify, just in case it got cut out, just because Cameron started talking, you said on your dream board is alpacas.
Well, no, the dream board that does not have alpaca.
Or that's what you're getting. That's what you're getting.
It's on the shopping list of like the next thing because we're also going through this rapid expansion.
Dude. I didn't know that's what you're.
What is that? A garden bench?
One day it'll focus. There we go.
Hey, nice.
So stuff like that. I have to make one of these for this course that I'm taking. So I'm just saying things like that, whatever. So
Cameron's about to get a certification. Damn.
No, it's just this guy. He charges like $100 and he's got like one of those. It's like he's monetized his channel by creating a course and everything, but it's really good. Like, do you guys see that little blue patio table I made?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first project on his course. So
that was epic.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Was epic.
Definitely worth it.
Wow.
My bad, dude. I thought you had.
Shout out Steve Ramsey.
I thought you had skipped over that part. I didn't know that you were telling the story.
Oh yeah.
What was it? There's two things I'm manifesting.
Okay.
The time will tell which one comes quicker. One is what Jess has just added to our shopping list. See, this is what's so cool. When you have a partner and you agree in principle, you as the guy just make the money and you build a business. And then your wife or partner finds the way to invest that money and spend the money wisely. It's like the best thing. Because now she's like, hey,
not invest it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's more.
You do the investing. She does the spending it on stuff. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
If I know what we mean by investment, you mean it loosely, but yeah.
Don't
let your wife be the investment decision.
Yeah, more so like and that was even my idea was the ducks and chickens, because that's like, we get a bunch of eggs and then we can use it to.
But she probably figures out like, well, what kind of ducks do we need and which ones and all that stuff.
Yeah. So the newest thing is alpacas. Little did you know, alpacas are really awesome. They are good protector animals. So when we have ducks and chickens, as well as our cats and dogs, they will make this ridiculous noise if there's a predator near, because we have coyotes and foxes. Was that?
What does it sound like?
No. I have to look it up on YouTube.
I was hoping you could do it for us.
Yeah.
No, but in a week I'll be
Wowie!
So we have that, and then you can also take the wool. And Jess's aunt, we saw her yesterday. She's like, "Hey, when you get that alpaca, you can just give me the wool, and I'll crochet you anything you want." And she's like really good at it. So I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. We could use some blankets."
Dude, I can imagine Jess in like a full bodysuit, crocheted, like self-perfected, like alpaca wool, like bodysuit.
Epic.
Yes.
Like a fucking alpaca fur coat, just like walking around.
I'm alpacaing it up.
Yeah. And what else do they do? There's one other thing. The manure from them is readily available. So like if you had a cow and you wanted to use the manure for your garden, you have to let it sit for like 6 months or something. And but with the alpaca, they can basically just go shit on your garden and you're good.
You're about to eat a tomato. You're like, hey, you just like put it under its ass and lift its tail. You're like, it's like
there's a process that Jess will learn of how to do that, because Jess handles the garden for the most part. But I'm the one who like puts it all in. She makes it look nice and gets it.
Also, chicken poop is good for the garden too. You guys probably heard that already.
Oh yeah, I didn't know. I thought
apparently it's really good fertilizer.
Yeah, I thought that and the ducks had to like wait for some time.
Maybe so. Yeah, that may be the case.
Yeah. So anyway, that's one of the things we're manifesting. But that wasn't even the main thing I wanted to bring up. The main thing was, So we have this fair here in
So wait,
Minnesota.
hold on. When you say manifesting, like, what do you mean? Like, you're looking at it, you're gonna buy it, or like what?
No, dude, like I'm vibrating really hard, just praying that it's gonna come in.
This is Mitchell.
When I'm not on the podcast, that's basically what I look like all day.
That's epic, dude.
And I'm looking at pictures of it, not using my techno tutor, not writing about it, and I'm not making phone calls to make it happen or making money.
Okay, got it. One second, let me take those notes. 1 second. Okay. I'm gonna put those instructions on my dream board because one day I'll be able to manifest like you.
Yeah. And actually, so it's kind of cool because we're always out moving. We're out talking to people. We're out connecting with people. And there's this guy who runs this really cool garden, and he's got an education center. We're sharing our vision with him. You met him, Drake, Matt, right? And he's like this hub of connections. And we're over there, and someone said something about alpaca, and he goes, "Oh, our neighbors right down the road have an alpaca farm they're selling. Like, you could probably get a good alpaca there." I'm like, "Oh, wow, synchronicity."
You're like, tell me more about the farm.
So anyway, so there's that, right? But and now the other day, so this is the other manifestation. When you get really good and you use enough techno tutor, you can simultaneously manifest multiple dreams at once, right? It's just called
wait. You're saying you can do more than one dream at once? Everybody, this is like new released information. This is like,
is this
the next level?
We should be charging for this podcast.
We are, aren't we? We're not.
I'm getting charged up just doing it.
So
that's irrelevant. Let's go for it.
So we were talking about the second thing.
So I was talking about excited.
We got cut off a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
Exactly.
We're all in different places too now.
Ooh,
that's awesome.
Ooh, it's like musical chairs.
That's right.
So the second thing, right, that is on my dream board.
Hold on, Mitch. I wanted to bring this up. I had this in my mind because you said synchronicity, and I don't want to let a moment slip. Like, because people will take that and be like, "Oh,
yeah, no, I'm completely joking."
Yeah,
just to be very clear.
Thank you.
Like, I'm just saying synchronicity in the sense that I know all these spiritual people are like get off on that of like, "Oh my God, it was like divine encounter." It's like, well, divine encounter in the sense that everyone here is divine, and if you're actually doing what's best and then living from that, sure, stuff will happen.
You'll encounter the.
You know what's funny is all the things that the spiritual people are looking to happen in their life are actually happening in our lives.
Exactly.
Even though we're like, "Oh, that stuff's bullshit."
Yeah.
And they're like praying for it, and it's like, "Oh, I got a parking spot."
Yeah, like synchronicity. It's like synchronized. Something just synchronized, and then I paid attention to it, and now I'm taking action on it. And I'm not like, "Thank you, universe." I'm just like, "Hey, thanks, Matt, for doing all this work to put this place together."
You know those like several frame cartoons, right? Right. I want one where it's like the guy's looking for a parking spot, right? And then he's like visualizing it, and he gets that front space parking spot, right? And he gets out of his car and puts his mask on.
Dude, you would make really funny comics.
That would be good.
Wow.
Because it's like showing the.
And then just call it co-creating.
Yeah,
exactly.
Co-creating reality.
That's hilarious. I bet that joke went over many people's heads. So my dream board, right? So after I moved, I was like, wow, I literally have the house of my dreams now. And we have the garden. I have the wife of my dreams. This is amazing. Because in the past, I would be like, oh, I want the cool house and the hot wife and this type of thing and good food. And now it's like, it's literally here. So I don't need it on my dream board. But then I'm like, okay, I got to keep expanding. And I like to have like artwork and stuff around. So I'm like, okay, where do I know I need to be? So now I'm like looking at images of like, what does it look like inside the Oval Office, which is the White House for you non-Americans. It's like where the president lives.
He's explaining this for Joe Biden, so he knows what.
Yeah. So Joe knows where he is.
What's going on? Yeah.
And like pictures of inside Congress and the Senate and the United Nations. And dude, the United Nations building just looks like, wow. It's just fascinating, right? So every day I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, wow, all right. So I'm noticing within myself, like, okay, do I ever feel like I'm not equal to it? Really what I'm noticing is just, we got to expand the network. there are a lot of seats in those places. And even if you get in there, it doesn't really matter. We need a majority of us in there. Great and point. So that's been a big insight. So one of these pictures is Congress, right? And so now yesterday or 2 days ago, Saturday, 2 days ago, Jessica and I went to this fair. It's called the Minnesota State Fair. It's major. Like people go all out. This is like, it's a bit excessive, but they go like 2 weeks at the end of the summer. They do it every year, except last year they didn't because of the whole fear of COVID, all that. But they had it this year. And Jess and I are both, it's fun. You get great food. You get to see people, meet people. So we go there. And then I forgot in the past, like politicians always have their booth there. They're always meeting people, showing their just like the fellow Minnesotan. And we walked past this one guy and his name's Dean Phillips. And I was like, God, I recognize that guy's political signs. And then I realized he's the congressman for my parents' district. And he's a Democrat, but I didn't actually know at the time. So I wanted to go ask his campaign manager. I was like, oh, who did he run against? And then I was like, oh, yeah, this guy's definitely a Democrat, but whatever.
Real quick. Like what's defined as a congressman? Like, is it just being part of the government?
So we have the House of Representatives and then the Senate, and we have 2 senators from every state. And so that represents the equality, I guess, between all 50 states. But then the House of Representatives, certain states with more population have more representatives. So South Dakota, for example, has 1, and California has, I don't know how many, but
what do you call one of those representatives?
Congressman. Congressman or
okay,
congresswoman.
Cool. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So he's one of our, I don't know, 4 or 5 congressmen of our state. And I'm just like, first we're chatting with his campaign manager because this guy won. He got in 2018. So like, oh, how'd you win? You know, talking to him. And that was really cool to just hear his perspective. And then he's gave us a whole nother perspective on our governor too, where a lot of people love our governor. A lot of people do not love our governor. He's very much liberal, just going along with the whole thing. For example, his Facebook profile picture is him with a mask on, and you can't even tell if he's smiling. So it's kind of weird. He's obviously behind a camera, just posing, trying to make a statement. So that's that. But this guy, Dean Phillips, so then we start chatting with him, and turns out his family, I did not know this, his grandmother, I might be wrong, independent fact checkers are sure to check this. But his grandma used to be an advice columnist in the main newspaper, and she was like very well known. His family also owned a very successful vodka company. So that was interesting. Then there's this like a Talenti Gelato or something like that. It's one of these big gelato companies. He owns that. He started that. Now he's more of an investor. So I was like, oh, this guy knows business. Okay, cool. So I'm like, start to chat with him, and it was really interesting because we were asking him, what is it like a day in Congress? And he was saying how different people are there for more time or less time, but he's a big fan of like going out to eat and talking with and connecting to Republicans, so people on the other end. And he's very much a middle of the road guy. And I see why his approach is really successful. I see why people like him, because he's not like over the top trying to push his agenda. He's trying to find like common ground and really use the system. Because he was saying we have people like Ilhan Omar, who's another one of our representatives, and she's very loud and very much in your face. Like, this is the answer. I don't care what, that type of personality. And he's saying like, there's people like Ilhan who's on the left, and there's people on the right like that, and they don't get anything done, really. And I'm paraphrasing what he said, right? But and so then he said, the system isn't really designed to change. It's designed to operate that way. So you got to use the system. And so that was really cool. And then so we just chatted with him. I asked him a couple of questions. I wanted to see like, is he like kind of bullshitting us, or like, does he actually just, like no flinching? So like I asked him questions on like the vaccine passport and his take on that, and mask mandates. And he said, just leave it up to private companies, because he's like, if they try and reinstate a mask mandate here in Minnesota, there's going to be violence in the streets. He's like, people do not want that. And he said with the vaccine passport, he's like, hey, this Delta variant, it's getting young people. Like, I'd just be concerned. He didn't say go get the vaccine, but he's like, go talk to an expert. And then he said, with the passport, he's like, I think it should just be up to private companies and they should decide, because that's where you're really going to get the change anyway. It's not going to come from the top down of the government. So it was cool to chat with him and just see like, hey, he's just a normal guy, definitely successful business guy. And the way he approached conversing with people, like he took notes on our conversation. So I was like, okay, I could definitely see myself doing this. Like, this is not that hard, especially with, I can just tell like how I like to talk to people. But then it came full circle because then I was like, oh shit. All right. So at the very end, he goes, yeah, next time, if you're ever in Washington, D.C., here's my personal email. I'll give you and your wife a tour of the Capitol. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go.
Really cool.
That's awesome.
Mitchell,
So, yeah.
He was taking notes, right? It's like, I might have to run against this guy a bit.
No, he's going to be like, okay, so you're going to be governor in 5 years. So I'm going to be working with you.
Yeah. So I don't know if I told him that, but I told, because he's asking us all these questions, and he said, hey, so we have TechnoTutor. We're working on reforming education in the city. And it was the way he talked about Biden's Build Back Better thing was really interesting, because I've only ever seen it in the media. But with him, he's genuinely like, no, this is good. Like, families need this thing. And so you could tell that was the biggest solution he could conceive of, was like this whole thing, right? Biden's whole approach. But as a businessman, I was able to explain a bit more to him. And so I don't know how much he remembered or took notes on, but it was cool to have like a real conversation with someone. And I told him as well, as younger people, we're just seeing how automation is going to come in and blindside everybody. How most people in our generation don't trust the government, don't trust the system. We're skeptical, and a lot of people I know are pretty hopeless and don't see really hope in the future. And so I was bringing that up to him because I just wanted to see what he was going to say. And yeah, it was cool. I told him, for us, we see it as personal responsibility to get into politics. I don't necessarily want to get into politics. I took one political science class ever, but now I just see the practicality of it. Like, we need people in those positions because that's where the laws are formed. That's what kind of governs where society's going. So that was cool. And then it came full circle to what you were saying earlier, Cam, of as you're further in your process and as you're just becoming more effective, things just manifest quicker. So now Jess and I are looking at our honeymoon of where we're going to go, and we're going to go in the southeast of the US. We're going to take like a road trip. We're going to go North Carolina down to Florida. Then I was like, maybe we could fly into DC and then just do a road trip from there, and then go take them up on that tour of the Capitol in November. Right. And then
it'd be good to go there and actually physically see all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And to walk through and like shake hands with people and everything. And so anyway, I don't know if they make you wear a mask in the Capitol or make you show a card, but
guaranteed they'll make you wear a mask in the Capitol.
Well, my wife has a medical reason she can't. And so I'll work.
So I look over there and
security's like, oh, what?
That's really cool. It's really
That's
cool.
awesome.
So
that's really cool.
Notice like it's the same thing that kind of is happening here with us, where you push yourself and then all these other opportunities start opening up. So the synchronicity aspect is like, it's not synchronicity. It's aligning yourself with what's best, showing to yourself, I will take responsibility even when it's difficult. And now it's like, when this opportunity arises, and also you're putting yourself in that position. You went out to the fair. You have the point of wanting to, because you could have gone to that fair and never even realized the congressmen were there.
Be like, we're having so much fun. Look how much fun this is. Like, let's do that thing. Let's do that.
Right. I'm just here to like eat cotton candy and go on the rides. And like, so it's not like the universe gave you that guy. It's just that now it appears and you take advantage of that opportunity and so forth. So,
and very specifically, this is something that's been top of mind for you, and not top of mind, but it's been a focal point for you where you've been programming yourself with the points of politics and politician. And so you felt like when you came across them, you're like, oh, this is a great opportunity. rather than like,
yeah,
that's intimidating or whatever.
Right, but you can go look and go step by step and see how you created that situation. Yeah. And it's not like the universe gave it to you. You know what I mean? Like the universe gives us physical matter. Okay, everything else we are making happen based on our choices and our decisions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The cool part is it's repeatable. Like if Mitch, I know what Mitch did, so he doesn't have to tell me, right? But my point is, like, if he were to explain to somebody, you would just talk about programming himself with the vocabulary so that one, you're programmed to see the reticular formation point, is you're programmed to spot opportunity based off your vocabulary. And then two, being attracted to that opportunity. And three, being able to, when you're in that opportunity, being able to get out of that bear fruit from that opportunity where it leads to, now you can go see the Capitol, right? So it's like a repeatable point, which is really cool because I could just do the same thing, right?
Yeah. And then he told me, because I asked him too and his campaign manager, I was like, so how did you win? He's like, I just spent a lot of time all around my district meeting people. I would do a ride along with the fire department. I would go hang out with that school superintendent. I would go here. He was just like always out networking. And I'm sure he was very effective within it. And you can tell just based on the little bit I knew about his family and his history, like he's already got that thing. But now that I see, you can just that thing, meaning it's resonance. It's like in your DNA.
And he has a campaign manager who's setting up those things. So it's like he goes and plugs into it. They have a system that he plugs into. Yeah, so when you're thinking about politics, it's not like you have to go figure all that out. You're like, you sell somebody on I'm running, and then they sell you on please use me as your campaign manager because it costs money. So you do the fundraisers, they set all that up. There's a whole process to it, and you just plug into it, and you're the person who's able to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was so cool because I'm like, I can go talk to people. It's because then the rest of the weekend, that was basically what we were doing. We're going and seeing people. Jess and I went to her hometown for a few hours yesterday. I'm just like, this is literally what we're already doing. We always go out, we talk to people, we're meeting with people, we're telling them about what we're doing. So it's like, it's just the next point. But then now to bring it into what I think would be really cool for us to discuss is like, there's kind of two main things here. One is how it can't just be us. And I know it's not. Like we have people like, I know Jesper is over in the Netherlands looking at how do I get into politics? And like we have people all around doing that. But
even the amount we have, it still has to be more.
Exactly.
And then it has to be more. And then it has to be more. And it always has to be more. So obviously you see 4 people on this podcast, there's a lot more. But even with a lot more, there still needs to be more and more and more and more. It's got to be millions of people, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then so it's like for whoever's listening, looking at within your personal responsibility, all the bullshit reasons you have of, well, that's just for them to get into politics. I'm just going to, make money and I'll donate to them. It's like, so this is the other point I want to bring up now. David had sent us a article, and I didn't even read it. I just saw the headline, but how Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel, I think I don't know what is he prime minister or I don't know what his title will be.
Yeah.
But there was apparently some quote from him encouraging microchips in all Israelis to encourage or manage social distancing. It's like, I know it was inevitable that this was going to happen, but to just see it now, I'm just like, okay, this is where we're at. I got to move faster, right? We got to get more people. And so within that is like, you could easily go into the whole blame, fear, ignore that whole thing. But like truly, if we're giving as we'd like to receive, for all those people in Israel who maybe can't stand up, and we're here in America or Canada where we still can take a stand, it just becomes this really interesting point that you really can't ignore. It's here. And so what are we going to do with it?
So in other words, like if you're just going to sit here and be like, oh, you guys can go do the politics, I'll just do what I want to do. It's like the system is closing down around you. Yeah. Like it doesn't care about your goals and desires. It wants you to have this little tiny little nothing. Right.
That's a really good point of it not caring about your goals and desires, because becoming equal to that as somebody who's looking to build the number of people who are focused on the same purpose. I also don't give a fuck about your goals and desires, is my point. Right. And it's like, because that's what the system does. So if you want to become as effective as the system, implement the same tactics.
Well, also it's like, you didn't choose your goals and desires. You just never questioned them. And so are you a creator or not? Are you free? Because if you're free, you can change your goals and desires according to what's best. That's all we're saying. And I mean, here's the other point. Everything that you want, you can have by doing what's best. And so I was kind of alluding to this point before we started the podcast, but I was looking at this point this morning of feel good now, right? And what that means, right? What do people, let me just ask this. What do people normally think that means?
Feel happy.
Yeah.
Feel happy.
Go and like make yourself satisfied, blissfully happy, and just only look at things that make you feel happy, because that's when you're feeling good right now.
Oh, cancel. Just had a negative thought.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
don't bring that up. Don't bring that up. That's negativity. I don't want that right now. I need to feel good. Okay. I'm just going to focus on feeling good right now, and then I can get all my desires. So you need to fuck off, please.
Max has this great phrase whenever, because like I can be kind of intense sometimes, right? And like if Katie's talking about something and I'm like getting intense about it, Max will be like, Cameron, get the fuck out of yourself. Now Seneca has started saying it, like she says it for fun. Anyways, so I like that phrase. Get the fuck out of yourself.
Wait, hang on. How, I don't know how we can make this, but this would be awesome. Because like as we take over media networks, right, we're gonna need like content on there. So imagine a version of Real World Cope's Techno Tutor Ranch, where they have like cameras, and then like Cameron gets interviewed, and then they like pull aside Max, and he's like, man, the way Cameron and Katie are talking is like really intense. It's like a whole TV show.
It was like in that moment, I just had to direct both of them, you know.
Yeah. Cameron's like,
but it's cool because when he does that, I'll ask him like, what is it that you're saying? Why are you saying that? And then I can explain, oh, well, here's why I was saying that. Here's what we were discussing, so we can have more context, right? But going back to the point about feel good now, right? So I'm gonna shift the context. What if I said, hey, whatever you do in life, you really need to feel good about it. What does that mean to you?
I feel like it's the right thing.
You need to be like, well, if you're going to do it, you got to be focused.
If you said, I don't feel good about what I'm doing right now.
Like some kind of guilt, or like it's bad, or
it's not going to work. There's some doubt.
Right. And so what's the difference between that feeling? And I don't just mean in terms of quality of the feeling. I mean, what is the difference between that kind of a feeling versus the feeling good now feeling?
That's one of them. Like, go ahead.
I was going to say one of them is, and this is if I really think particularly about it. The first one is like, how am I feeling? Versus the second one is like, how is this going to affect other people or affect my environment or affect things kind of?
Right.
Yeah. Like, I don't feel right about this. I might screw somebody over. It doesn't feel right that I'm telling somebody this, or I don't want to lie, or things like that. I don't feel good about that. It's really interesting.
Now, within that context, you can still be deceiving yourself, because you can be like, I don't feel good about it because Jesus said, you shouldn't swear or some shit. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
So like, I don't feel good about someone cussing or something, you know what I mean? Like, so, or I don't feel good about cussing around this person or some shit, right? So obviously you can deceive yourself in both contexts, but the first one, the feel good now context, was kind of it's a self-interested point. It's like, how do I feel? Versus how do I feel about what I'm doing in terms of what's the consequence to me and everybody else, right? So what I'm suggesting is the self-perfected take on feel good now is feel good now means considering all the dimensions of what you're doing and actually feeling good about it. Good meaning the context of what's best for all, right? So feeling good now in this moment means I know what I'm doing is best. Now, if you can do that, then you can detach yourself from how do I actually feel in this moment in the self-interested perspective. Am I evaluating how I'm feeling on an energy, or am I evaluating how I'm feeling on an assessment of what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and what's the result that I'm producing now and long term and so forth? Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So feel good now is not a excuse to just pursue energy anymore. It's a responsibility to feel good about what you're doing, because you know within your self-honesty what you're doing is best.
It's 100% responsibility right there.
Right. So the problem is, if you're low vocabulary, feel good now just means pursue happiness, pursue energy.
That's why when you say,
because
like,
that's
YOLO,
the person's vocabulary. Yeah.
You know, like, you only live once. It's like interpreted as, so get fucked up and like
do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interpreted as don't actually live.
Right. Exactly.
Just follow a program.
Right. Because the high vocabulary understanding of that is, you realize I only live once. Let me do what's best for all.
Yeah.
And
let me actually find out what
can.
living is. Let me actually find out what it means to live, and not just be self-interested. That's not living. People have defined living as pursue self-interest. That's not living.
And it's like, a good context to come from is really looking at like death. Because I was looking at this point some time ago, and the best way that I could really anchor it down for somebody is it's like the ultimate self-reflection. Death is like that moment where you'll be 100% self-honest. You'll look at everything in a moment.
Why?
Because you have nothing else to lose. You're going to lose everything anyways. So you're not going to try to hold on to some belief or pattern.
What is it that you're losing? I'm just making sure it's clear to everybody, because they have ideas and beliefs about death, but what is death actually? What is it that you're losing?
Your physical.
You are.
Yeah.
Your personalities.
Yeah.
Because I was going to relate to your like friends and all that.
You're losing all the context that you use to maintain an idea of who you are. Mm-hmm. You're losing all that context. So who you are in the afterlife is not who you are here, ostensibly. I mean, it can be. But the way you do that is you look at who would I be in the afterlife, and you live that here. People think, oh, whatever I live here, I can somehow take that with me because that's who I am. It's like, that's not who you are. If you're defining yourself according to your personality, your beliefs, your friends, your memories, your relationships.
At the end of the day, all that stuff is really like irrelevant. Like, just think of how you think of other people, and when things happen to them and you're like, so like, who cares? Like you don't even, that doesn't even matter. So why would it matter if you're this like, you know, great being or whatever, that's like so spiritual, and you're coming here and having all these experiences, like, then the way that you look at everyone else and their experiences, how that doesn't matter to you. Why would any one of these experiences or one of these lives or whatever, like, why would that have any bearing on when you die? You know, when
and somebody might think, well, but when I'm in this other life, afterlife or whatever, I will just be this amazing spiritual being. And it's like, but why aren't you being that now? Like, be honest with yourself. Like, you're not that. This is who you are. Like, look at your relationships, look at your friends, look at everything. That is who you are. And if all of that context is taken away, and now you're in the afterlife, who are you then?
Oh my
and that's
God.
the problem is,
oh my God, Cameron, I am like this amazing spiritual being, and I'm like so upset that you would even challenge me on this. Like, I can't even with you right now. Okay. Like, Can't you just tell I am divine? Right. Okay. Like, I was born divine, and you, I don't know, you drink like Starbucks or whatever, and it's gross.
I do not drink Starbucks.
Well, okay, so you have one thing going for you. Good.
You drink what is it called? Gunmetal coffee or whatever.
Black Rifle.
Black Rifle.
Gunmetal.
I just need something gunmetal.
I just like shave off gunmetal into my coffee.
So at death, it's like, okay, you have nothing else to lose. You no longer have your family. You no longer have your religion, your spirituality, your friend group, your work, all of that stuff. And so it'll be that point between, you're like, okay, so I'm not living for, I'm not here for my life because my life is over. And it's like right before you're going to go to the afterlife.
Perfect example. Okay. Because people are going to argue with you and say like, well, you don't know what the afterlife is because you drink Starbucks, right? Like, you don't know. Because they have beliefs, like, and they know they've never verified it. Like, it was some channel that told you this is what it is, and you believe that. Like, oh, I know what it is because I had this hallucination experience one time. Well, I've taken hallucinogens. Like, you can imagine all kinds of shit. Your mind is a very powerful thing, right? You can, but this one kid came back from heaven and he talked about the angels and the gods and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, you know, if you go to a Muslim country, there's a kid who went to heaven and there was all the virgins and all that stuff. So did they both go to different heavens? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in every religion, there's the kid who went to heaven.
The one with the virgins is the higher heaven.
Right?
Right, Mitch? No.
Because those angels are not virgins.
Yeah.
So my point is, though, how can someone relate to this? Like, the fact that all those things won't matter when you're in a new context. Okay, here's a perfect example, right? I want you to imagine you got stranded on a desert island. Okay. You don't know how to make your own food. You don't know how to build a fire. You don't know how to create a shelter. You can't get off this island. There's no way to communicate. You don't have any resources. You don't have any books, entertainment, your iPhone, your social media. You have nothing. You're just there on this island. And there's like a couple palm trees. Okay. And let's say it's enough that you can subsist. So you can survive, but it's not like you're going to have any sort of abundance or anything. Who would you be? Would anybody be like, oh, dude, I could just sit there for the rest of my life, just eating those coconuts and just chilling? What would everyone say?
I would go crazy. That would be what people would say. I'm looking at this for myself. I'm like,
yeah, they'd probably be, I'd go insane. Like, I don't know. I can't imagine what I would be like.
Yeah.
So just as an example, like, if you took away all the context of everything you understand and know, now imagine death. There's no palm tree. There's no sand. There's no nothing. You don't have a body. You don't have a brain. You don't have limbs. You have just awareness. That's it. What's that like? You can't even imagine it. You have no frame of reference for it. So whatever else is going to be in that context, you cannot possibly imagine it. I don't care what channel told you something about it, because they're having to translate it into some symbols that you can relate to that are not going to exist there. So now what? Do you see what I mean? Now you have to look at, well, who would I be? Now imagine that maybe there's something there, but there's no way you could possibly understand it. So is the who you are in relationship here with all of the things that exist on earth the same who you are there? What would carry over potentially? What's the only thing that would carry over?
Principle.
Yeah. Not even your breath.
The only thing that would carry over would be the starting point from which you make decisions.
Okay, why? What?
Because that's the only thing that you are.
Could you break that down?
Like if Mitch goes and talks to a congressman, what's he talking about?
Best for all.
Yeah.
He's talking about education, technical tutor, blah, blah, blah. If he goes to a dinner party, who's he talking about? If he goes and meets a guy at the bus station and they start having a real conversation, what's he going to talk about?
Oh.
You see what I mean? And it can depend on the context and where that person's at. I understand.
In the afterlife,
speaking,
I'm going to sell everybody Technotutor.
Like, let me put it this way. You guys know if Jess was like, hey, I'm going to go on vacation for the weekend, and Mitch got invited to go to a party with his friends, what, you think suddenly he's going to be like drinking and doing drugs and all this stuff? No, he's going to be the same person he is now. And if a person is not that, what does that tell you? They're not real. Who they are is changing depending on the context.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen when you go into a context where you have no frame of reference? Who are you going to become then? You're going to go insane. Right. So this is the point about preparing yourself for death, is in the context that you're currently in, even though all the frames of reference are like, just feel good, just pursue your happiness, pursue self-interest, just do all that. You're like, no, I'm going to do what's best. I don't care what anyone is telling me. And I don't care what resistance you give me. I'm going to persuade you to do it, because that's what I'm deciding to be in this context. And it's like, I remember I saw a quote from Bernard recently on Facebook or something. It was saying like, it was something to the,
still around?
No.
Okay.
But his words are, but it was something to the effect of, the question of who am I? This is why I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something to the effect of like, that shouldn't be a question you're continuously asking yourself. Like, you need to decide, you need to live from that. And that question needs to be done. Like, now you're constantly proving the answer to it through your actions and what you're focusing on. But what I'm saying is, within yourself, if you're constantly like, I'm discovering who I am, like, you need to decide now, who are you? And when you decide, are you going to immediately change to live that 100% all the time? No. But every time you face a resistance and then you push through, that's the proving of who you are. But if you go throughout your life constantly asking who I am, that's a confused person. That's a person who doesn't know who they are.
It's like you walk into a company. Hey, what do you do here? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
I'm discovering that. I think by the time I'm here for 20 years, I'll start thinking about it.
I'll really come to the full understanding of who I am.
So
they're going to be like, okay, we're still figuring out your salary.
So what is that process? And so like as a child, right? Max, for example, he's born into this world. He doesn't necessarily know who he is right away. It's the parent's responsibility to support him to realize who he is, which is life, and then to instill those principles in him. Is that correct? Because I think there's some people who, like, so as I'm hearing this, we're saying, as you develop yourself, you develop this understanding, then you ask yourself, who am I? Okay, I realize I'm life. I'm here to do what's best for all life. Cool. Made the decision. Now keep moving. That's like a moment in someone's life, such as Max's life, where he has to make that decision, right? Or is it possible where he just realizes it kind of on his own, just through his environment and everything?
Realizes
what does that look like? That he's already just here as life, and he's going to do what's best.
Huh.
I mean, he's from the time he's very young being told that's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
So why would it take time for him to figure out that point?
See, it's like, from what I get from that is like, it's more so about him like not forgetting it, and like,
yeah, but he's going to have to then at a certain point make the decision for himself. Like, this is who I am. Yes. Okay. Because what's going to happen is he's going to grow up, and then a certain point's going to happen in his life from the system or whatever, where he's going to be challenged within the point, and he's going to have to take it on for himself as, okay, this is who I am. Not just because Cameron or Katie said so, but and who I am has to make a certain decision, and I'm going to decide who I am.
Yeah.
Right. So, and he has many of those moments all the time, like where, like, I'll give you an example, like kids like M&Ms, right? You know, and they had M&Ms one time because there was like one of those little vending machine things, and we got some from them, and they like them. So we have a little bag of M&Ms that we keep above the fridge. And every once in a while, Max or Seneca will ask for some M&Ms, right? So last night, Max asked for some M&Ms. It was like, I don't know, 7:30 or 8 at night, right? And I was like, did you talk to Katie about it? Because she has more awareness of how much sugar they've had and so forth. But he said, yeah, she said it was fine. Okay. I said, okay. So I didn't question that because I know he's not lying to me. Right. And then I was like, sure. And I pull him down and I start opening up the little bag, and he goes, can you just give it to me? I said, how many? And he goes, 10. And I said, you checked that with Katie? She said, yeah. I said, okay. So I started getting it down. He's like, can you just give me the bag? I'll count them myself. And I was like, okay. So I gave him the bag, and he like ran off with it. Right. And he ran off in the other room with Katie, and he counts out 10, and then he comes back and I put it away. So he's made the decision within himself.
That went really well.
I'm saying he's made the decision within himself that he is going to stick with the agreement that we have, which is, I just said, you can have it. He said, I will count them out. He's not taking advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
He could be like, got him now. Right.
And you could co-create that too, of being like, oh no, Max, like I want to see you count them. Right. So then it instills this distrust instead of just.
And we've already had many experiences where I open it up and he counts them out. And this time he was like, can just give me the bag. Because he probably wanted to do it in the other room, or I don't know, whatever. Like, fine. How many parents, ask yourself, or just people who hypothetically can imagine being a parent, would give your 4.5-year-old a bag of M&Ms with 50 M&Ms in it or whatever right before bedtime? Just give them the bag.
And trust that when he says he'll take 10, he'll just take 10.
And he might not, right? He might not. I didn't know he was going to take 10. I mean, I'm assuming because I know I know who he is.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you don't know. Like, you trust it, but you don't know. And then if he had, I would have talked about it. Like, hey, that wasn't the agreement that we had. Why did you do that? You know, we could have talked about it, right? But it's like, my point though is he has many opportunities to prove who he is, how he's going to make decisions. You see what I mean? And like I showed you guys that video. I don't know if you guys watched both of them, the ones I uploaded on the parenting group. You know what I'm talking about?
I haven't seen part 2. That's unreal. I saw part 1, I think.
Mitch, have you seen them?
No.
Dude, great. I saw them. They were great.
Talk about what you saw just for context. And then for anybody who wants to see them, like, you have to get Technotutor and then join the parenting group, because I'm not going to release this publicly.
Yeah. So the first video was basically Seneca talking about like how she was scared of a router, and Max is just saying,
scared of what?
A router.
Wi-Fi
router. Yeah.
Okay.
And Max is just saying, well, you don't have to be scared of it. Like, what are you afraid of? And like questioning her, asking her, finding out from her, like what she's afraid of. And Max is like, well, you don't have to be afraid of it. We can go make friends with it, you know? And really supporting her with, oh, what is it? You're afraid of the lights? Oh, well, I can go over there and I can turn on the light. I can hit the switch and the lights will come on and off, and we can go look at it together. Look, I'll help you. Let's go together. And Seneca's like giving him her resistance. Like, no, I don't want to. Like, there's the lights, and she was basically just giving her resistances, and Max was being very supportive to her, but also not giving into her fears. Also just standing up and really clearly articulating why they should go, and also listening to her and okay, what are you trying to say? I'm understanding her, and then like, oh, okay, well, here's how we can help with that. Here's what we're going to do. Essentially, I'll lead you. I'll come with you. Right. What do you want? You want Cameron to come with us? Yeah, he can come too. Yeah. You want to bring your book? Yeah, you can bring your book. Like, and just basically, it was really cool because not only is he supporting his younger sister, right, in a very effective way, he's listening to her, right? He's actually caring for her, but he's also at the same time listening to her objections, overcoming them, persuading her in a way that it's like this is the way that you would, if you had a sibling, this is the way you would want your siblings to talk to you. And it's so different from, I've seen my own parents, or my mom rather, her siblings, the way that they interact. It's like, oh my God. Like, it's
like spiteful, right?
It's very spiteful.
And you saw Max he wasn't teasing her. He wasn't like, oh, no, you're afraid of that. He was understanding.
Right.
Like, okay. Yeah.
Right.
But you have to go and confront it.
Like when people talk about how they love their siblings and they're so great and all this is what they're imagining in their mind. And I'm not saying that people don't have, situations like this, but for the most part, there's some spite in there. There's like, for most people, there's like, it's not
jealousy.
It's not as like picture perfect as like this. Literally watching it, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And then he goes into the other room with her, and it was cool because he goes to that other room to show her the router, and she goes directly up to it in the dark. right? So at the moment that she's making the decision to face this fear, she goes directly to it in the dark, and she's not participating in that fear anymore. And then Max turns on the light, and then they go over and they talk about, and Cameron's asking her, see, is there anything to be afraid of? And she says, no. And that's another really cool thing. She's still 2, right? She's going on 3, right? But they're able to communicate effectively with this 2-year-old, right? And when you see Max speaking, the way that he's communicating is way beyond any 4-year-old. He's still 4, which is blowing my mind. Like I was telling you guys, just before you left Florida here, like I was telling you, I can already see he's at the next level of his communication. But I did not know. I had no idea it was like this. This is insane. Well, it's not insane, but it is so far beyond what any other 4-year-old, 5-year-old, even 6-year-old is doing, right? The way that he's being supportive, not because he's going to get in trouble if he doesn't, or he's going to get some reward if he does, or any of that, but because it's who he is and how he's been supported, and he's living that. This is just him at this point. It's not like, I'm doing this to get brownie points, which a lot of kids do, but rather he's just like, oh, you're afraid of the router? Oh, well, why are you afraid of it? What is it? Oh, okay. Well, you don't have to be afraid of it. We can go make friends with it. Oh, well, you think that this is an issue? Well, let's overcome that. Here's how we can deal with that. It was a really great video that you shared. And
that's awesome.
I'm glad. Like I was telling my cousin, he's in the group. I was like, dude, go watch those videos. He's like, oh, I already did.
Yeah. So why did we bring that up? Oh, because it's just another example of him. He could have in that moment chosen to like take advantage of the fact that she was afraid, you know what I mean? And like use it as a way of like, I'm better than you. I'm not afraid of that. Right. And but he was telling her like, because I was explaining to her, like, this is a moment where you can be brave.
Yeah.
Do you know what brave means? And she was like, what? And I said, it means doing something even when you're still afraid of it. Right. And I said, so you can be brave, right? And Max goes, I'm not going to be brave because I'm not even afraid of it.
Right.
And I was like, cool. But when he was her age, he would have been. And so he's walked through that because I did for him when he was little, exactly what he's doing for her. So the thing about your question, Mitch, about, will he have to realize these things? There's a certain level where he's going to have to direct himself within that point. But when you're supported effectively from a young age, it's natural. The reason why we are not acting as who we are, and we have to realize it and come to terms with who we really are, is because we weren't supported to know it from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's because of ineffective parenting.
Yeah.
You see, so sense. By changing the entire way of Did
he freeze on your end?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's gonna say something.
This is my guess is what he's gonna say. Changing the entire way that generations are educated. That's how we then change things for real.
Yeah. I mean, you can really clearly see just him doing that for his sister is like, that's really the giving as you want to receive point, isn't it? Like, it's really just, I don't know that okay, what he just said, as far as he's doing that, or he was doing that for Max when he was that age, helping him. And now Max is doing that for his sister who's at that age. And then what's she going to be doing when they have another sibling at that age? And even just for the other kids that they encounter, right? They're going to be doing the same thing. And so taking it even further to when they're our age and they have more influence, and, they're probably, their podcast is going to be fucking lit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they'll also be like creating communities much like how we have this self-perfected community on Facebook. It's like over 1,000 now, right? And it's constantly growing. There's really great people coming in, and it's all word of mouth. You know, the way that we're growing, it's all organic. It's all, and what I mean to say by that is people see the value in what we're doing, and they share that with others. And then they come in and they're like, oh yeah, I want to be a part of this. Like, I see the value of this. And so we're doing it now, but when they're older, the things that they're going to be able to do, because they're being supported from a very young age to already start this process of actually giving and living the giving as you want to receive, not just the superficial. You know, we've talked about this hundreds of times, thousands, I don't know, but like just giving money to a homeless person on the street. Or for instance, I was talking with someone, and the Amber Alert on your phone.
Yeah.
Like that was going off on their phone. And I was like, I think I switched that thing off, and they were like, well, I leave it on just because, God forbid something were to happen to one of my kids, I would want everybody to know. Right. And I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I get that. Right. But also at the same time, why is that happening? Why are kids getting abducted? They say that usually kids are abducted by somebody that they know, right? So like maybe one of the parents. Okay, well, why are the parents separated in that way? And why does one feel like they have to run off with the kid? Like, it's a mess up situation, but why don't we prevent it at the root? Why don't we make sure that these parents are staying together? And not only that they're actually creating a stable home environment. That's what we're talking about. That's really like the giving as you want to receive is give them that. Don't just bring their kid back to them when they're in this horrible situation. Don't just like, oh yeah, you're homeless. Here's $5. They're still fucking homeless. They don't want to be homeless. Like the way that you get into that position in the first place is things are not working out for you, large scale, grand scheme, right? Let's make this thing work out for everyone that we can. And that doesn't mean like, oh, we can help this one person and then everybody else is like, oh, sorry. No, it's like, let's change the system so it envelops everyone, right? That's the real giving as we want to receive. Did you want to say something, Mitchell?
Oh, I mean, I just see it clear. Were you going to say something, Asif?
Yeah, like, the first wave, second wave, third wave video.
Oh yeah.
What is he saying in that? So just for context, Bernardo made a short video, and it's just talking about the first wave of people, which is everybody here who might be listening to this podcast, who's giving birth to the next generation of children who will be walking, quote unquote, walking this process from birth, or be a product of parents who've been walking this process for however long, right? And then the children that they bring into the world are going to be, well, so yeah, I'll ask you guys, like, what is the implication of the third wave of children? Like, what is he saying that the third wave of children will be?
The third wave is like, all right, so second wave is, first wave, we're walking the process. Second wave is they've got the advantage of us having walked the process, and they're able to start changing things on a greater scale. Third wave is like, they don't even have the same consequences that we had to face because a lot of that's been cleared up already. But what were you getting at specifically?
Mitch, what's your take on it?
Well, I don't know if he said it in the video, but basically they're entering in to like heaven on earth, or at least the baseline of where we have the system built, so that by the time they're entering earth, they're like seeing firsthand certain solutions such as education, effective education for everyone, clean water for everyone.
Do you remember
prototypes there?
I think Cameron talked about it at the gym event. I don't remember if he said it on a podcast, but what was Cameron giving the perspective of what heaven is?
It's like everything inside in that inner dimension.
Drake, you got that too?
Yeah. So heaven is like what happens in your mind. This is your heaven or hell, right? And so what we're creating outside is a reflection of this heaven within us, right? Mm-hmm. But also what Max says about heaven is like when you have a hang on, let me turn off my notifications. When you have like everything taken care of, right? Well, actually, no, it's like when you think of heaven, when most people think of heaven, what they think of, right, is when everything is taken care of. You don't have to worry about things. You have a great environment that you just want to be all the time. And Max is like, well, that sounds like here. This is heaven, home, right? So yeah,
like his home specifically, like the environment, the direct environment that Cameron and Katie have set up for them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. For like perspective on that, it's like we may or may not have have a good set of systems in place for when our kids have grandkids. The more direct perspective that makes total sense to me is like Max is never going to struggle with alcohol addiction, drug addiction. He's never going to struggle with the point of purpose and what he's here to do. He's never going to struggle with social anxiety. He's never going to struggle with trying to prove people wrong because his self-esteem is so low. All of these things that Katie and Cameron had to work through for a long time. And his starting, when I say starting point, I mean like the level that he's starting his life at in terms of like a head start, right? In terms of his process is like, it's like, this is, let's say, for example, right? This is where Katie and Cameron started and they made it to here. And Max is starting like fucking here. Right. And I'm putting, for those of you who are just listening, where Max is starting is far beyond like what Cameron and Katie could create for themselves just because of what he's born into. He doesn't have all this stuff to work through. Right. And so him being able to, from a certain perspective, walk his process in totality in terms of removing all the points of self-interest only, right? When he has children, those children are going to be born into heaven within themselves, where they don't have all of those ego points that they have to work through and all that stuff, being the third wave. So the third wave as a concept is the point of when those children are born into this world, it's not so much, this is what I got from it. It's not so much about we're already going to be at a point in the world where everything's like basically perfect kind of thing. It's more so about in terms of what Cameron has solved of his genetics and what Max has solved of his genetics, what that child will get will be the programming of the result of life or
how can a world be best for all if the people in it are not within themselves? Mm-hmm. So who's going to actually, as the outward reflection, have a world that's best for all, in fact, except for the people who have that as an inward point? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Like, we're in a system that's not best for all. That's a reflection of us. We're standing up within ourselves and changing those things and preparing it so that the next generation can stand within it and so forth. But every little detail of how the system functions is currently a reflection of how every little detail of how we function and how we make decisions and who we are and so forth. So we're preparing children to be able to exist in a world that's best for all, which will be a reflection of them. So that parenting is the most important part. But if we don't change the external system pressures, then it'll not allow the children that we're preparing to really fully take advantage of and express themselves. You see what I mean? Because like the outside world is automated to a certain degree, well, to a large degree, right? So the third wave is the preparation to actually create a world that's best for all. But that doesn't mean we just parent and then we forget about everything else, because if you support your children to really know who they are, and then the system says you can't leave your front door until you put your mask on, what are they going to do? You know what I mean? And like, you have to go to school, and like, you know, you have to sit in front of a computer or you don't get food or something, you know what I mean? Like, to do school or whatever. I mean, you know, so we still have responsibility. So we have like 2 points. It's like the inner is we're changing our inner, and we're supporting our children to have an effective inner reality. And then we're working on the outer reality, and then they'll actually go and make the outer reality even more effective according to their points and so forth. Right.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Because I saw that today. I was like,
yeah, it's good, Cameron.
Okay. I'm just on my phone because my computer's like decided to update. So
I was looking at that point of like these. So let's say they pass this, right, which they likely will in different countries, where they'll have like kids microchipped from birth, just for convenience sake. It's easy to manage people. It's easy to protect people from this virus, right? I'm using air quotes.
It's hard to do that when you have a kid at home.
Yeah. And so so it's like that's where the system is heading, is towards that. And you know, how is that kid going to enter heaven on earth, you know, unless their parents are willing to take their responsibility, and enough people are getting together in those countries to also take a stand and provide an alternative solution. So, you know,
and at the same time, a microchip in itself is pretty benign. Like, wouldn't it be nice to be able to go somewhere and you don't even have to have a credit card or anything? It just recognizes who you are, and you put something in your cart and you just walk out because you have a chip, and people will be like, oh, but it's going to be used for control. Well, yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Exactly. The control part is the problem, not the other part. So wouldn't it be nice to have those things and not have the control parts? Well, the problem is, if you don't stand up and do what we're talking about, the control part will never be solved. The control part is a reflection of the fact that you can't even control yourself to not follow your fucking feelings and emotions. You are following a microchip 100% of the time. That microchip is just broadcasting feelings and thoughts and emotions, and you're following it. So you can't, like, if you're not going to stand up with us as a group and take these levels of responsibility that we're talking about, then the only alternative you're going to have is just complain about stuff and try to fight and resist. But that's not going to work. It's not going to do anything, because you're not, it'd be like, perfect example, you're on the ship and water is coming in from the hull because there's a leak in it, right? And you're like, oh, what the hell, get this fucking water out of here. And you keep scooping the water out. I mean, then your whole life is just going to be resisting the water coming in. So do you want your whole life to just be resisting having to wear a mask, resisting having to get a vaccine? Like, every single thing that you think about all day long is like, how do I go here without wearing a mask? Or how do I go here without needing the vaccine? Or it's like, you want that to be your whole, how is that freedom? So if you don't stand up and take responsibility within what we're talking about, you'll be controlled by it one way or another, because you will be limited in what you can do without it. So you're like, well, I am not wearing a mask because I'm free. It's like, well, you're not free because you're even talking about a mask. So it doesn't mean you shouldn't take measures to be in environments where you don't have to participate as much, but that's not a solution. It's the same reason I tell people, don't just go try to live off the grid. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm good, I'm going to go live off the grid. I don't need money. I don't need anything. It's like, yeah, you do. You know, and like, that's why I'm always emphasizing to everybody, like emphasizing the reason why we have this property that we have now is to support the distributors and so forth, to come here and have a place to relax and get support and so forth, right? It's not just for us. And if you wanted to go live off the grid, like, imagine the person who says, I don't need money to live off the grid. I'm just going to go live off the grid. I'm like, do you know how much a tractor costs? Like, there's certain things I can't do on my property right now by myself. I can't lift something very fucking heavy, like that weighs 800 pounds, because I'm not that strong. So I need a tractor. You know what I mean? Like, do you know how much a tractor costs? Even one that can lift that is very expensive. So this idea that you can just go live off the grid and you don't need anything, money or anything, is just retarded. Like, totally. Unless you want to live like a primitive life, which Why would you want that? Again, the technology is cool, but the problem is you're like, well, I don't want to participate in the technology because I don't want to be controlled. Like, well, why don't you just stand up and educate yourself and your children effectively and support other people to do that, replicate, and then we can have technology and freedom. Doesn't that sound good? Smart people, smartphones and smart people. The problem is if you have smartphones and dumb people and the phone is smarter than the person, then it just becomes a tool of enslavement. Well, stop being a slave. Well, the slave is still a slave if you're resisting. What's the difference? Let me ask you a question. A slave master, right? He, now I know people are going to say, well, he's not black, right? But there was white slaves, right? So let's say a slave master, right? He loses his wallet and his clothes get all torn and tattered, okay? And he's walking and his carriage breaks down and he walks to a nearby plantation. He walks on the plantation. Now, maybe immediately the guy out there with the whip is like, hey, who's that slave? Get out here. They capture him, right? They bring him in the house, right? Is it going to become pretty obvious right away this guy's a slave or not?
I think so.
And is the slave master, the slave master of this plantation going to be like, oh, sorry, buddy, you're one of us? How is he going to know that?
Oh, well.
Well, it'd be through his vocabulary, the way that he could communicate.
Yeah, he's going to be like, oh, I see that your slaves have developed the plowing techniques that we use, you know, and the guy's going to be like, oh, I see you know a little bit about farming yourself. Oh, you must be a landowner. Welcome, come sit at the table. Like,
have you seen?
He's like, hey, massa, I'm a plantation owner. You know, and the guy's going to be like, okay, you're retarded. I'm just going to keep you as a slave because I don't know where you belong.
Have you seen that South Park episode with Cartman? And he's like, he goes into a university and he's like, I see that you was in the slave trade just like myself. And he's talking about like the basketball team. He's like, we got some fine slaves. I'll give you 50 for each one. Like 50 for the black ones and 25 for the white ones. Like, and the guy's like, sir, this is a university. Yeah. Oh, that's how you're saying it. Oh, that's how you're getting away with it. Ah, right. The students, the student athletes, that's what you call them? All right, yeah. So how do we get the student athletes to make us more money? It's pretty good.
Commentary. Hey, Asif was messaging me saying, get closer to the mic. I can't because it's on my headphone mic.
It's super quiet.
Just what it is right now. I'm trying to get my computer to turn back on.
We need you to do that rendition again, but you need to shout it this time, okay?
Yeah, my computer will eventually turn back on, guys.
Whatever you're doing right now, it sounds a little bit louder. It's good.
I don't know what it is.
A little bit louder now. Oh, okay.
I'm shaking my head at you, just so you know.
Okay, good. Thanks. I need that. So, okay.
Oh, real quick. By the way, there was a podcast episode I shared from Dark Horse Podcast, Brett and Heather. And they were talking about it was something to do with like science.
Yeah, how to not follow the science. How to do science, not follow the science.
But they start off by they give a quote from John Taylor Gatto. And they start talking about the history of the education system and everything. And I really suggest people watch that.
Sweet.
Like these are people who are both PhD educated professors who did research and, you know, taught it up. Were both full professors at a university and so forth. And they're both, and one of them likes school and the other one doesn't like school. And they're both talking about the history of education and everything. And like how, you know, it specifically, the purpose of it is to make you a little bit conformist or a lot conformist. Like that's the point of it, because if you have a company and you're running a company, you don't want your employees to think too much for themselves. So that's not what a corporation is. It's one body. You can't have different parts of the body thinking differently. I mean, right?
Corporeal. Hard made.
Corpse.
Well, we were talking about the children, right?
Corporation is the body. Capitalism, capital means head.
Oh, so you got to give head to get the body. Gotcha. Huh?
That's right.
Yeah, right. Okay. So in terms of first wave, second wave, third wave, right? In terms of the amount that you have to push yourself in order to take care of another being is why we'll be able to take on the next level within ourselves of expanding and taking on more of society and the system and things like that, because there's a whole lot of things that Cameron never used to talk about until he had Max. Apart from straight up parenting, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Cameron, but you become very aware. I know you're aware before, but you become very aware of like, fuck, why are there so many billboards for rum and whiskey?
Yeah.
And
you
like,
just notice things differently.
Right. Because you start becoming much more aware of, okay, what is my child getting influenced by?
Yeah. External influences. Yeah.
Right. And so in terms of like what Cameron and Katie have created, like at their home and for their children and the model of the family, it's like, that is because Mitchell and Jess share like a really cool point of how the way they see it is they're there to create Minneapolis as the prototype for a city that's highly educated, right? Has community and have principles.
Right? Hey, and if they can do it there, they're like, let's take like one of the worst case scenarios.
Right. It's like, that's like the Canada of US.
It's like me starting my process, like however many years ago, going like, all right, if I can do it.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I think it was before you came back on, but I was making the point of like the second wave, the third wave, and like Max will never struggle with, you know, alcohol addiction or like drug addiction and all those points and porn addiction, all that stuff. Right. So where he's starting at is like just right. And then that's what you call a quantum leap. Right. And what that's going to create for Max's children is going to be astronomical, and they're going to be created with heaven, right, on earth. And so the point being that the furthering of that process, there's just going to be things that our children can do that we just can't do. And if that's not the case, then we kind of fail as parents. Like, you know what I mean? Like they should be able to far excel beyond. What do
most parents prepare their children to do?
Become slaves.
Yeah, just get a job, become a slave.
Right.
Yeah.
They literally just selling their child into bondage.
And it's also right. really interesting because most parents are like trying to live vicariously through their kids. And so they're trying to get them to like do things in a slightly better way than they did them, but then they still have all their fears. So they're like, no, but don't do this and don't do that. And like, so they're like trying to control them. So like, it's really interesting because you obviously want your kid to do better, but then what you're actually doing is still enslaving them from your slave mind, you know?
Right. Bernard says it. He says parents expect perfection from their kids, but they don't explain how perfection works.
Right. Right.
So
because they don't even.
It's like, you know better. It's like,
no,
who's my fucking educator? You didn't teach it to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's really interesting because I'm seeing a bunch of my friends, like several of my friends who, you know, their parents made like $1 million businesses and they want their children to manage it and they don't want to. And the kid's not ending up better than they are because they just said, yeah, I know I want this totally different path, but I need you to go to school because that's what you should do. It's the same.
That never makes sense to me. Like I would tutor these people and it's like they run businesses and everything. And it's like, why don't you just have your kid like learn how to run your business? Why don't you just teach them that? It's like
why isn't that school for them?
What are they learning in school that's preparing them for that? Like,
right.
The parent can't see through it because they're not programmed to see through it. Like even the people who are entrepreneurs and stuff, generally speaking, can't see through it.
Just put their kid in daycare and school and all that stuff. Right. And so it's like the best investment that you can make, even if you don't, no matter where you see yourself, where you fit into following through on this purpose, the specific purpose of changing the system. The one thing that everyone that listens to this podcast can prepare themselves for, that would bring about the best yield for the world and for yourself too. If you never, there's a lot of people who might think they'll, become billionaires or millionaires or whatever. There's actually a funny statistic. It's like 60% of millennials think they're going to become millionaires.
I think it was like 80%. I could be wrong. You might be right, but it was like a really high number.
Something like that, right? And how many millionaires are there as a percentage of the population?
Right, exactly.
You're not like less than 1%, right? So the point of that is a lot of people think they will be, but there's no.
It's like 90% of people believe that they're above average.
Yeah. Right. Exactly, right? So
50% of people believe they'll become an NBA All-Star.
Right.
Okay.
There's only like a couple of those, relatively speaking, right?
There's like when I got these 20-year-old guys who are like, or 22 or 23, and they're telling me they're going to be an NBA, and I'm like,
you're already past the age. Sorry.
I've been being scouted, nothing, right? Like, I actually
right.
NBA players, like, you're not them.
Yeah. I worry for those people. No, I'm kidding. But because I've gotten told that from a couple of people before, and I'm like, wait, now? Or like,
you should have been having that dream when you were like 5, dude.
Right, exactly. He's like, I play ball. Like, I'm starting to play more ball. I'm like, that's what you should have been saying when you were 5.
Play more. Oh,
yeah.
Now that being said, you can learn later in life, but the NBA is hyper competitive. It's a business.
It's a very specific point. It's a very specific point.
I like the analogy that you use of like getting into the Olympics. Like, just practically, you're not making it to the Olympics. You're at a certain age, you're not going to the Olympics unless you're like 14 years old.
There was that one person, Drake, who was 25 and they did a ball,
right.
And
they started really training for shot put, and they became.
And it's like, okay, but that's the exception, not the rule.
Right. Right.
You can do it.
Right. And so in the same way, like, we need to be preparing.
So why the fuck is your dream to win a gold medal in shot put? Like,
yeah, okay, that's a great question to start off with.
If your dream is to win a gold medal at the Olympics, you're a fucking retard. All right.
And that's why they have the Special Olympics. There you go.
The Special Olympics is the regular Olympics.
So in that kind of starting point of like, okay, what are you doing with your life? You think you're going to be successful. That is the Olympics of like life, to have $1 million, even just have it in the bank. We're not even talking like making that as a regular income yearly, right? To be a millionaire, that is the Olympics of this world. And you think you're just going to get in somehow starting now with what tools? What are you doing?
No plan, nothing, no preparation, no vocabulary.
Yeah. No, I'm just going to.
And you're still
just based on, I'm going to feel good now. And then it's all going to come to me. I'm like, ask any Olympic gold medalist if they got the gold medal from feeling good now.
They didn't.
They feel good in that one moment when they fucking win the gold medal. And after that, that's it. And then they crash. Like that's one moment of feeling good. Everything else was misery and suffering up to that point.
Right. And even if you had $1 million, it literally liquid cash in your bank account, you're still fucked.
Right.
Like, you're still so fucked. Right. So the point in bringing that up is the highest yield, most powerful thing that you can do that will guarantee that it's a long-term investment. But having a child will. So we'll talk instead of talking
start
about
with some seed money.
What?
You have to start with some seed money.
Right, exactly. You need the capital to put forth. Gather up investors like your parents, or you hold a wedding, which is an event for investors.
Crowdfunding.
Yes, that's right.
What did you say, Cameron?
The seed money. It's your seed.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you for explaining the joke.
Yes, I know. That makes it funnier, apparently, when you explain the joke. I've heard this.
I
was watching a video on how to tell funny jokes, and it was like, always explain the joke.
Always explain it over.
Oh, by the way, also, I posted a video, I think it was in the distributor page or somewhere, about, it was MIT, this guy giving a lecture on how to speak.
Yeah.
I think Patrick Winston, I think. That's a good video. Watch it.
I've not watched it yet.
It's very good.
Does he tell about how to explain jokes? You know who does that? You know who explains jokes all the time and is actually really funny? Norm Macdonald. That guy's pretty funny. He explains all his jokes.
That's because when he tells jokes, they're not funny.
They're not funny jokes. Yeah.
You're right. It's like he explains it.
It's the way he does it.
He actually says, a lot of people say to start off a talk with a joke, and he says, I don't recommend it. He said, because the audience is still warming up. They're still getting used to your cadence, your everything. They're starting getting into the talk. And he said, usually the jokes will fall flat. I was like, that's actually pretty cool. He said, he's rather start off with like a promise of like what he said, like an empowerment promise or something, like what you're going to get out of the talk. What's the purpose of it? What are you going to get out, take away from it?
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Anyways,
that's pretty cool. But basically, just have a fucking kid, because if you have a kid, they'll go far beyond the you'll ever go if you're walking this process. Specifically, if you are walking this process.
Yeah, we have to be very careful, because like I remember one time I went on a self-perfected hangout and I was like, why you need to get into a relationship? And all these people got into relationships not based on principle because of it. All right. And some of them are still here and they're working it out, and some of them fucked off. Right. That's just their starting point, right? So
exactly. And so that's the thing, right? It's like the other side of that is when you have a kid, if you haven't walked enough of your process from a certain perspective, it's going to compound everything that you already are. You're going to double down on like what comes natural to you, if that makes sense. Like what your starting point is, you're going to be like even more into that. And same thing when you get into a relationship.
A lot of people they become more religious, or they go back to religion, or they like an example of that is like even Disney is religion, right? So they go more into the system if you don't have principles, right? So just be aware of it. Right? You'll see that with people. Like people will suddenly turn into their parents very quickly when they have kids. Right. So you have to have these principles and start walking the point. Just take it seriously now. You don't have to wait to have kids. Just take it seriously now, today. Start walking your points, and then have kids when you're stable.
And that's my point. It's like if you set your sights, if you really take into this context, because no matter where you see yourself in this, I know that like 90% of the people listening to this, they want to have kids.
Average.
Right. Yeah. They want to have kids, right? So I'm saying, like, no matter how far away in your mind you think you are from having kids, if you start preparing yourself for that today, it will support you a lot. Because somebody said it in the chat of like, I don't have the relationship yet, but I see the value on focusing on like, what will it be like to have kids, and start preparing for that, because that will determine how you even seek out your relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's also part of the why of the relationship. Like, I want to have a relationship.
That's the point.
Why?
Right.
Like, just for yourself? It's like, oh, because I want to have kids. Why? Just for yourself? Well, I want to support them to be the best they can and to stand up in the system and create an environment. Like, oh, now you're seeing the why. So now I have to have a relationship. So I have to do this. I have to have.
And that will support you to have a good relationship, because on the flip side, if it's just for yourself, you just want to have kids because, that's what we do. And it'd just be so nice to have a cute little baby and all that stuff.
It'll turn into a nightmare if you do that.
You're just doing it for yourself. Your relationship's going to be fucked up because you're just in it for yourself. Because I want to be happy.
Also, you'll compromise on a lot of things, like because you'll just want to feel good, and that'll be like you just want to feel good now, and so you'll not challenge on certain things, and just like, oh, I'm gonna avoid this, avoid that, whatever, and then your relationship will fucking deteriorate right in front of your face.
Right.
It's been really cool. The way that I started this relationship with Christine, like we started it based on, hey, we're both doing this process. She was already a distributor, right? And we both decided we want to do what's best for all. And so we came to an agreement of like, hey, can we support each other to do what's best for all? And so what's been really cool about it is we challenge each other fucking hardcore whenever there's a moment in the relationship that's like, in a normal relationship, that would be like, you fucking ruined my day or some shit like that. And we're just like, not acceptable, not fucking acceptable. And not like, we're so stoic and like, no, we're still people, you know, but we're solving our problems by using TechnoTutor and the DIP process. And like, because we're on the same path, we're like, okay, when we have kids, we're not going to be able to just do that. That's not going to be cool. We're not doing that to our kids. We're not saying that around our kids. We're not going to act that way, whatever. So let's fix this now so that that's not even a thing or an issue that comes up for when we have kids. So we're really clear in our purpose. And so we're aligned in that. And it's just really great, you know, what Mitch was bringing up early on about, you know, he goes and makes the money, but because him and Jess are aligned in their purpose, like they've already made decisions on, okay, these are the kinds of things that we're looking for. And then he can trust, oh, okay, you're going to choose the best thing for our home or whatever it is, right? It's like, that's a real alignment. That's a real team. That's a real partnership where most people, they have a relationship that is just based on like, hey, I like you right now. You're kind of cool. Let's just dance around our feelings and make sure that we keep feeling good and all that.
The relationship is totally based on how the individual feels inside about themselves. Because the other person, like you're feeling something, not about them. Your feeling is within you. It's your feeling that you're feeling about yourself in relationship to that person. So it's not even about the other person at all.
Yeah.
It's like you're generating a feeling and you're using that person as a symbol to help you generate that feeling. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we were making a joke, I think yesterday, like I was driving and Christine was on her phone and I was like, what if I was like one of those guys, like, what are you doing on your phone? Oh my God, like who you're talking to? She's like, oh, this not even fucking lasts. But that would be something like that's something that guys do or girls do in relationships, especially at our age, right? And like that's something that the person who's complaining about it is creating or having some reaction to, because they could just literally just be on their phone searching, you know, what they're going to make you for dinner that night or whatever the case is, right? But the point
I was just gonna say real quick, it doesn't often, it's not a lot, but sometimes I'll have Katie's phone and she'll have my phone just because she put it down and I can't find mine, so I'm just using her phone for a while. Yeah. So like, there's not even a thought of like, oh, I don't want her to see what's on my phone.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's a phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I want to add something else real quick that before we get lost in this. That point you made about what was it?
Being a team.
You were talking about the relationship. Oh, about parenting. And the point you were talking about with Christine, how you guys are walking through these challenging points, right? And you're doing it based on like, let's remove this pattern, not like on how you feel and trying to maintain that. Like I'm trying to think of how to express it. It's like, you're preparing yourself to be a parent by doing that.
Right.
Nothing you're doing is about parenting. And when you're a parent, it's just carrying over that way of making decisions into a new context. Just like
let me like specify that a bit. It's not about let's let go of this point so that our kid doesn't get this point. That's one dimension of it. But I think what Cameron's explaining is it's the process of you getting good at letting go of points that you're going to give to your kid.
But the point being, like, you're not going to be manipulating your kid or your spouse in front of them for energy because you're already stopping doing that now. That's what will make you a good parent.
Yeah.
Being a good parent isn't doing X, Y, and Z as much. There's definitely some X, Y, and Z you need to do. It's more of not doing X, Y, and Z to a large degree that people need to focus on. And that's the part of the process, is removing all that bullshit. Right. Yeah. So obviously doing X, Y, Z, a lot of the things that you need to do as a parent, most parents are already doing most of those things, like provide food for them. They could do it better, like better nutrition, but that's just education. But removing a lot of the layers of beliefs and fears and desires and stuff is very, very important. And so by doing that, that's why I was saying on the parenting call yesterday, by building a business, you're already preparing yourself to be a parent. Because to be effective at building, for specifically a TechnoTutor business, because it's direct sales, it's one-on-one, it's about communication, you have to walk through like the patterns of not going based on your feelings. Like, well, I'm not going to go generate leads today because I don't feel like it. Well, if you have to stop that pattern, because if you can stop it there, then anything else you do, suddenly all your relationships get better because you stop deciding whether you're going to show up at that party or make that call to your friend based on how you feel rather than what is the point behind it. You see what I mean? So the same thing with your kids. So like the way I talk to Katie, where I can be direct with her, I do that with the kids too, where it's like, wait, no, that's not acceptable. Stop, just stop. Okay, why are you wanting to do that? Explain it to me. Okay, all right, but consider this. All right, does that make sense? Okay, can we agree on that? Awesome. That's how we talk.
Yeah.
It's not a, oh, sweetie, you hungry? Will you need something to eat? Like, I don't want someone to talk to me like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I want someone to be direct and be like, hey, are you hungry? What would you like? Okay, but did you consider this might be better? Okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's an actual communication. So the way I communicate with you or Katie is the same as with the kids. And so part of the point there is, if, like Asif was saying, you know, preparing yourself for that point, it's like you don't have to wait to prepare yourself for when you have kids. Just start now. Start walking your process, build a business, get into a relationship, and start removing those layers of programming so that when you have kids, you're already ready for it. And then all the stuff that you need to figure out that's parenting specific, guess what? You're going to have us. You're going to have Asif because you're having kids. You're going to have Drake and Christine. You're going to have Mitch and Jess. You're going to have Mugen and Kian. You're going to have all these other people who are having kids who can support you with, okay, yeah, try that brand of diaper versus that one. Or yeah, if they're getting sick, maybe try this or do that or whatever. Like the detail stuff, you can learn that stuff very quickly.
Right? I don't know like who specifically needs to hear this, and I don't know if this is more of a man thing. Because I was thinking back of like if I were to have kids now and I was living like a different life, like the average life kind of thing. But I was aware of everything I was aware of now. So I was aware of everything I was aware of, but I wasn't building a business and things like that. The biggest regret that you're going to have right before you become a parent is going to become a parent when I say it to you.
Wow.
No, I'm joking. This is
okay. Is it learning how to do dad jokes? Is that
no? The biggest regret that you're gonna have is all the shit that you didn't do now.
Yeah.
Right. Mitch and Drake are shaking their head. They're like, yeah, like, man, fuck. If I started this process earlier, if I took it more seriously from the get or whatever it is, I would be further along and my kid would have more. And you know, all that stuff.
It's the same thing that people say all the time of like, if I would have known 5 years ago what I know today, you know, like legit.
Close to Drake on buying Technotutor.
It is. Like
I was like, where are you at? That's how I closed.
Oh, that's how you
Drake
closed them on Technotutor.
I was like, have you seen my life change in 5 years? He's like, yeah. I was like, is your life? He's like, no. I'm like, where do you want to be 5 years from now? You want to be in the same place? I was like, no. I'm like,
you guys ever see those YouTube videos called like what I would tell my 20-year-old self for like
right
8 things to know when you're 20? Like, that's that's what this is right now. It's like, Drake, yeah, what were we gonna say?
Legit, like, because Cam was I had met Cam 5 years prior, and we didn't really talk too much about Technotutor at all, I don't think, but I knew about it.
Probably talk about CPUs and brains, and those are my conversations with Cameron. Sigils and mnemonics.
I mean, we mostly just had fun. Like you toured us around Orlando.
Yeah.
Disney and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, like when we were talking, I was like, fuck, I wish I would have got this 5 years ago. And Cam said that. I was like, you know, imagine if you would have had this 5 years ago. I was like, fuck, dude. Man, I wouldn't be here right now. Like things would be so much better. And the fucking honest truth is now it's been almost 4 years, not quite, but almost 4 years. And I've seen such a huge change in my life. And the other thing that you said, Cam, that was like, so like, I don't know if reassuring is the right word, but you were telling me this is not going to be an overnight thing. You know, you're just basically making it really clear, like, hey, dude, you know, you need to change, and this will help you change, but don't expect it to be like tomorrow morning you're changed, right? What if it takes you 7 years to change? Would it be worth it? Would you still do it? Like, you didn't see any fucking results for 7 years. And then, you know, 7 years in one day, that's when you start to see you're actually living the life. And I was like, and at that point, I had known you for, you know, 5 years now. And like I said, you know, I'd seen that process and that timeline. And I was like, you know, 7 years is not that long. You know, I'm willing to put in that 7 years. Like, yeah, fuck it. Like, if that's the change I can get in 7 years, if it takes 7 years to get to that point, that's worth it. You know,
and then
and really, like, it's cool because we're about halfway there now, and already I've seen such huge shifts. Like, you know, the biggest point, or one of the really big points anyway, is like the relationship that I have now, I thought was impossible. Like, I had just completely already given up on it, so to speak.
100%.
And like, now looking at it, I appreciate it every day. I not only appreciate the relationship that I'm in, but how far I've come to become the person who can even sustain this relationship, who could even get into this relationship. There's like so much change that had to happen just to get here for me, right? And we're continuing to grow together, and it's fucking an awesome process to just see, like, you know, being aligned, being on the same team, being aligned in purpose, where most people in relationships don't even have that. They're not even aligned in, like, hey, I'm going to go learn this. I'm going to go join this club that talks about success, and like, we're going to get together and be successful and network and all that. Like, most people in those clubs, their partner isn't even on board. You know, it's like, you have, where is the starting point of your relationship? What do you guys agree on? Is it just that, oh, I feel good around you, and like, you feel good around, okay, cool.
Oh, you know what it is? I'll tell you, everybody, what the fuck it is.
Oh, fuck, dude.
You knew it was coming. I had to use spell.
Oh, shit, dude.
What is it?
Let's just end the podcast. Let's just end the podcast. Save it for next one.
It's obvious. The secret is no. It's that you fell in love, and then based on that, you got trapped, and you made certain physical decisions, and then out of convenience, you just kept going with it. And you use the excuse of, I have to just keep surviving each day, and I don't have time to really sit down and think about what I really want. And what's the purpose of my life? You just suppress all of it.
Other than like a ball pit or some shit, like, how many things can you fall into that are great?
Yeah.
And then
don't you like fall in mud and like shit and like traps? You fall in love too.
Dude, it is. It's a trap. Like, it's just it's your ego finds a way to get energy, and then it's like, all right, stay there. And then why do women initiate divorce more than men when they're older? Because the man's weak and you're not getting energy anymore.
Yeah.
Because men are creatures of convenience. Like, we'd rather just like chill and like not have any noise or anything.
Dude,
right?
that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense, because I've seen guys who they know their relationship is not working. They know they're not on the same page. They'll say it. They're like, yeah, they don't want to do this, and I'm trying to get them to do that. And like, you suggest to them, like, hey, well, you know, why don't you talk to them and have the hard conversation? And they're like, it's going to create a fight. It's going to create a fight. And like, they're afraid that their whole relationship is just going to fall apart.
It will.
You know?
And the thing is, they're not even clear on what they want anyways.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, it's like, you could take any podcast on relationship advice, whatever, and we have better perspective than all of them, because all of them are still trying to give you the freedom of choice as to what your purpose should be. Like, you just need to decide what your purpose is, and then you guys need to find some compromise in that, or get into alignment. And it's like, we're telling you what your purpose should be.
Right.
When you're clear on that, then everything will work. Because otherwise you're talking about opinions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because
how do you know? Like, so what you're doing is, I'm just hoping I'll find somebody who has the same opinions as me.
Right. Right. This is the highest purpose. Like, to do what are you going to do that's not best for all? Like, why are you even doing that? Like, what's the purpose? What's the point? Oh, so that you can feel good while somebody else suffers, while you fuck over other people, or you feel like weak that you can't help other people. Oh, I can't think about other people. That's not my responsibility. Like, you're fucking weak. You're like,
these are all just excuses that have been programmed into people so they won't leave the plantation.
Right. Right.
All it is. It's just slaves.
Right. Right. So let go of those things. And I know what that's like. You know what that's like. Mitch, you know what that's like, right? If Asif were still here.
Just thinking about alpacas.
It's my next level of responsibility.
Right.
It's just like,
yeah, and it's painful. A lot of the times it fucking hurts. But it's just, like,
what's the painful part though? What's the painful part?
The pain is just in letting go of stuff that you thought was like beliefs you had in different ways you saw yourself. And then you realize, okay, I got to let it go. And then you let it go and it's like, oh, thank goodness I did that.
Isn't that also
anticipation of having to do it, but it's not the actual doing it.
Isn't that also the pain of death? The pain of death is like when from the perspective of the person still living, they have to let go of that person and what they were to them and all of that, right? And then from the perspective of the person dying, it's like they're letting go of everything that they quote unquote thought they were. You know what I mean? Like letting go of all your personalities, all that context, all that, like, well, I've been living this way for all my life. And you know, I made a decision that I was this kind of a person, you know? And then it's like, none of that even really matters, except for the starting point, like Cam was bringing up earlier, of like, who are you, regardless of the context? Who are you, and what is your starting point? What are you here to accomplish? What are you here to do? Right? What are you like? Are you going to do what's best for all? That's the starting question, right? Are you going to do what's best for all? Yes or no? Are you going to do it in every context? Yes or no? Because otherwise, what are you doing? You know, like, are you just here for, like, I don't know, emotions, feelings, and like,
it's exactly what they'd be here for.
You know what it is though, but that's some psychotic bullshit, right? It's like all of
literally how a psychopath thinks.
Exactly. All of you are here to play a game in my mind. That's literally how people think. They don't think of it in that way of like that directly, but that's what you're doing when you're just saying like, no, I'm going to live my life. You live your life. You're really just saying like, I'm creating this image in my mind, this story, this game, this like, I have to live this movie and you're fucking with it. So stop. But okay, if you have the right to say like, I have to stop because you're in your movie or whatever, like, here's what I'm doing. I'm creating a world that's best for all. You're fucking it up. So you either stop or fuck off so that everyone here can actually live the life that we all want to live. Nice. Right? Because you, it's like if you have, I guess if you had like a flock of sheep, right? And one of the sheep just kept
alpacas.
Okay, alpacas. You have a flock of alpacas. I don't even know if they flock. Do they flock? Who cares?
It's a herd.
Herd of alpacas.
Leave a comment. What is it? Is it
a herd, a flock, a school,
a murder of alpacas? I think it's
a
like
conspiracy of ravens.
Yeah. Oh, is it a conspiracy of ravens? I thought it was
ravens are a conspiracy. Yeah.
No, murder of crows. That's what it is. Murder of crows. Anyway. Murder. Yeah, something weird like that. Anyway.
The herd.
Mitch is like
an agenda.
If you had an agenda of alpacas, right? And then one of these alpacas keeps leading your agenda astray, right? you'd be like, hey, that alpaca has to leave this herd or agenda or whatever we're calling it, right? That alpaca does not fit in with the rest of this agenda. It's a really great word. I like it, right? But in the same way, we have so many people who are, okay, we are all one, right? But we have so many people who think they are just one.
Say it again.
Right? Where they're all like leading the entire society astray because they want to go do their own thing, and it's fucking it up for everyone else. They're literally fucking it up for everyone else. It's like I used to row, right, in a boat, and I don't know if you've ever tried rowing before. Not like
stream or like
no, not like in a canoe, but like in an actual like racing rowing boat.
Not
right?
like merrily
in the ocean.
Merrily.
Not in the ocean. I don't think we might have rowed in like.
Wow, way less badass than I was imagining.
Okay, buddy. All right. Listen, you get into a boat, you get into a shell, and then just fucking like so it's 8 other guys, right? And then you have a coxswain who's like 90 pounds that steers the boat or whatever, right? You're not even looking the direction that you're supposed to be going. The coxswain is like giving you the direction. They're telling you, here's where we're going. But you all have in your understanding, we want to win this race. We have a goal, right? And so you all have to work in unison if you're going to reach that goal, right? And so you don't get to have your own thing. Well, I like to row, fucking on my own time. No, everyone rows at the same fucking time. You have to hit the water at the same exact time. It's like very precise. And what's really fucking interesting is on my team, when I was rowing, we were small guys. A lot of us were smaller guys than a lot of the other schools. But our school, number one, had a great coach, would win. I think when by the time I graduated, it was like 27 out of the last 28 years, we won the states.
Oh, shit.
Right. And so, but we didn't have the biggest guys on our team. It wasn't about that. It was about the precision and the unison and the basically, we were a well-oiled machine. We were all on the same page. We didn't just put it like, oh, we all have the strength. We weren't the strongest. It was just that we were that, I'm trying to think of the word, but basically
there was no resonance.
No resonance. Yes.
There was no resonant issues. So it's like you were all together in the purpose.
And you know what's funny?
No,
what's funny is our coach was the physics teacher as well. Right. So literally the way that we would put the blade into the water and everything was like, he had it, like he could explain it mathematically of why we do this. And he would stop and take time of like, here's why we're doing this. You need to understand, because I don't need any of you having any great ideas about, oh, well, I don't want to do it that way because I don't understand it or it doesn't make sense. It's like, you're doing it this way. This is the best way. And we reached our goal in that way. And so what I'm saying is you can't possibly expect in life for you to just do your own fucking thing. And then we all somehow live a great life. That's not going to work. We all have to be on the same page of, okay, what's best? What is best? And then we all do that together in unison, like without creating resonance, without like, if even just like leaning, the amount that you would lean on one side of the boat or the other could fuck up the whole thing. It would throw off the balance, you know?
And think about this. If somebody says, well, but I think if everyone just follows their own passion and blah, blah, everything will work out. But it's like, that's the person who would probably be resisting all this authoritarian shit that's going on right now, right? That's already the world we have. The world is already the consequence of everybody following their own thing. The thing is, because you're not really at an engineering level looking at all the points within yourself and directing all of that, there's a lot of stuff that's unresolved and in conflict. And it's those undirected things that are being directed by those who have a higher vocabulary. So it's like, because your whole starting point is, I just want to feel good or experience magic or whatever, then anybody can come along who knows how to manipulate those words and then direct you into something that they want to be done, that they want done. So it's like if you had a bunch of slaves who were like, each within themselves, like, I just want to be secure. Like, cool, I'll provide for your security. And I'll frame it in a way where you feel like you're free also, because you're saying, I also want to be free. Right? So the society we have is already, no one is coordinated. We're not suggesting everybody suddenly become an exact carbon copy of each other. But if you had the starting point of, it's like if everybody on the row team was like, hey, we want to win. We all want to win.
Yeah.
If the one guy was like, nah, dude, I just want to get a good workout. It's like, okay, but are you going to be able to fit in with what we're doing also? Because you're going to get a good workout. And if they're like, no, I don't care about this. It's like, okay, well, I'm just telling you, if you fit in with this, you'll also get a good workout. So I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah.
You'll get what you want as well.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you'll achieve something also.
Also, if you weren't aligned with that purpose, you just get removed from the boat. It's like, okay.
Right. But that's the whole point with society. If you're not aligned with the purpose of our reality, you're going to get removed. So if you're not aligned with the purpose of the way it's being directed right now, what's going to happen? You can't go into.
And that's what happens when you die.
Right. But the point is, you're not going to be able to go into the store. You're going to be able to go into wherever you want because you're not following the rules. You don't have the passport. Right. Well, like Asif was saying, when you get to the end of your life, the real passport is going to be, you have to show your papers. And it's going to be the accumulation of everything you did, every choice, every moment you made, every breath. Did you do what was best? Did you walk your process? Because the result of that is going to be, can you stand stable within a new context, within who you are? Are you going to do what's best, or are you going to not? Because if you can't do what's best, then what choice does the captain have?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, imagine you had a history of every other rowing team that you were on. You fucking fucked it up. And you weren't looking out for the good of the team. And then you're trying out for this new team and they're like, okay, let me see. I'm going to call up all your references. And they're all like, yeah, no, he kept trying to do his own thing. Okay, fuck you. We don't want you here. Right. It's like, what if that's what's happening at the end of your life? Right. It's like, okay, so you, in the context of everything that is here, because consider this, right? We've talked about this before. The way you determine the meaning of a word, which meaning or which definition, right? The meaning of a word is based on what? The context. The definition will change based off the context. So the way you define the meaning of a human being, like what you're here to do right now, is based off the context. So considering this context, you're supposed to have this meaning by definition. And if you're not doing that, you're evil. You're not living. You're evil. You're the reverse.
Yeah, it's the same point we were saying earlier about you need to figure out who you are and just determine it and decide it and let's go. Like with this, if you're like, I'm living my life trying to discover my purpose, like, no, just look at the world. Your purpose is to fix that. Like, there's nothing, and fix yourself and fix that. Like, there's nothing else. What is there? It's not about fixing it. It's about changing it. Obviously, I'm using the word fix loosely.
Yeah.
Right. But my point is, change the world, change yourself. Like, there's no other context. No, I'm here to feel good. It's like, no.
You don't get it.
That's already what everyone's doing.
You don't get to feel good at this point. And I'm not saying that like you can never feel good. I'm saying that doesn't get to be your purpose. Like, not until we've created a world where everyone has the basic starting point of life.
Well, it's like with the kids, like they like to paint, right? And we use acrylic paints and they like to pour the paint, right? And like slap it around and throw it around. But the problem is acrylic paint out of the tube is very thick, generally speaking. Mm-hmm. So if you just fill it up in a cup, it's not even going to come out of the cup. So I have to prepare it. I have to put some kind of medium in it to make it a little bit flow better. And so like the kids sometimes will be like, hey, they'll go pick up the cup. Like, I'm like, no, wait, you got to wait. Like I have to prepare it. And they're like, I want to use it. And I'm like, I know, but it's like you're saying, you don't get to use it yet.
Right.
Like,
right.
Not because I'm trying to limit you, but it's because it's not ready yet. If you try to do it now, you're not going to get the result you're looking for.
Right.
So you can't live in a world that's best for all that you haven't prepared yourself to live in, and you haven't changed systems to support.
Right. So that's something that the third.
We're on.
Okay. So Drake, bring us back. You were talking about the third wave. You had mentioned the third wave.
Oh, okay. So like the third wave, that's what they'll be able to do. They'll be able to like live based on like decide what their purpose is, as far as like they want to have fun, they want to enjoy themselves, whatever. But we have to prepare the way for that first. Like Cam was saying with, preparing the paints. We have to prepare that way for them first. And here's the thing. Most people are so fucking selfish. They're not willing to do that. They're not willing to set aside their own desires, their own passions, whatever, to create that world where that's all, like, where everyone can come in and do that. And so we'll never fucking get there if everyone keeps doing that,
Trying to jump the gun.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's literally putting the cart before the horse, right? So, okay, if you're this great being or whatever, and you want to experience life, okay, great, cool. But here's the first step, Mr. Great Being or Mrs. Great Being. Like, prepare the way so that when you come back, right, you can actually live that. You're not even doing that. You're a retarded being. That's what you are. Like, if you can't see that of, oh, yeah, I come here multiple lives and I'm like always experiencing life, fucking get it right for once, finally, Like,
I'm here to learn lessons. It's like, why aren't you learning a lesson then? Like, what's the lesson? My lesson is to become closer to God. Okay, so here's your final lesson. You need the vocabulary to understand what the fuck that means, because you keep misunderstanding the lesson because you don't have the vocabulary. It's like if you keep taking the algebra course over and over and over, and you're like,
I'm here to learn the lesson.
That's what a quadratic equation is. Oh, I'm like, yes. Like, I'm just here to learn the lesson. I'm like, okay, but you actually have to learn the lesson. Like, people, it's just an excuse. Like, life is a school. So it's like, no, but you're basically saying, listen, you're saying, I'm just here to randomly experience things and accumulate data for some fucking artificial intelligence.
Whoa, that's how people live their life.
Like, it's like you in the Tesla going, I'm just here to learn lessons. It's like, you're not learning a lesson. It's the AI that's learning the lesson by accumulating data. You're just along for the ride. You're just an observer. It's like all of the spirituality stuff is so obvious. If somebody was creating a super fucking advanced AI to be able to control you.
Wow.
That's all it is.
That's seriously like what I believed when I was into that spirituality stuff. Like I got that and I was like, yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, great.
Yeah. I'm cool. I'm just a slave to God. And
I'm part of the AI.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah.
That's like how low self-esteem you are. When you're in that stuff, you're actually low self-esteem, low vocabulary. In reality, it's that you're very immature. Spirituality is for very immature beings. Self-perfection is for mature beings. So when you're ready to mature, then you start walking this process. It starts the process of that. Taking responsibility is the first step of maturity, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's that simple. If you're still looking for good feelings and all this stuff, you're not even mature at all. And you're abusing the word God, you're abusing the word creator, you're abusing the word spirit, you're abusing the word source, universe, you're abusing all these words, and you're twisting their meanings to suit your immaturity. That's all it is. So on that note,
share the podcast,
comment,
and actually take action on this. Because we'll be saying this next week and the week after that, and we'll say it in different ways, but you know what you have to do. Like, within your self-honesty, you know what you have to do. So stop bullshitting yourself.
Now, on the off chance that this is your first podcast, we have a Facebook group. It's called Self Perfected. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Friday night hangout, 6 p.m.
Eastern.
6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. Techno Tutor, BIP. Those are the two tools of self-perfection. And then relationships, hanging out, talking with people one-on-one. One-on-one is where the magic happens. And sharing this, commenting. Physically in groups. Yeah, that's why we're all going to
clubhouses,
Mitch
events.
Yeah, we have the I guess more major events like Mitch and Jess's the Snyder ceremony, the Snyder reception. Is that the most accurate?
Just a wedding.
Snyder wedding.
Yeah, wedding.
The Snyder Union.
Right.
The Snyder.
And then we're gonna go to the Copes getaway retreat. What do you want to call that?
Ranch resort.
Ranch resort.
Ranch resort.
So those are like more like major events.
A little bit of R&R.
Well, like Cameron was saying, you have your local meetings, which is, for example, a clubhouse where you're doing it every week or 2 weeks or whatever the case may be. And, you know, if you create it, don't try to imagine you got the ingredients for a cake and then you just started eating all the ingredients. It's like, it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be nasty and gross.
Imagine starting a clubhouse and being like, oh, I couldn't get people to come to my clubhouse. No one showed up. I'm like, you fucking idiot.
Imagine
make people want to come. What do you understand? Like,
okay.
Like what? No one came. I'm like, I had a party, but no one wanted to come. Then you're a loser. Go make friends with people. Go communicate.
That's your process. That's where you
share with people the starting point of why you're doing it. Sell them on it. Give me a break.
Like compare that to like most people's last year and a half, but they've been isolated. They haven't seen anyone. Like we're out meeting with each other like pretty regularly. Like I don't know how many times I've been to Mitch's over the last.
I don't know how many times I've been asked over the last year of how did you leave Canada?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean?
You just
it's not illegal.
Yeah. Exactly. But like most
people, Avery always makes this point. It's like, oh, you've already accepted that it's this way.
Right.
That's the problem. Stop that.
Right. So, if this is your first podcast, man, you're in for a great ride because we have an awesome community that we're building locally everywhere. We're local and we're global.
We're building it globally.
Locally, globally. Right. And I know there's somebody who kicked out of the group who's upset by that statement.
Oh, yeah.
Flat earther.
Think locally, act flatly.
That's funny.
Right.
Cool. Nice.
Yep.
See you guys next week.
All right. Bye, everyone.